Runaway success in the fashion industry is one way to describe the sensation caused by the Italian Benetton firm. It's a family-owned and operated company, and one of the Benettons is with Jill right now. Jill?
That's right, Peter, one of the Benettons and his interpreter. 20 years ago, very few people had ever bought a Benetton-designed sweater, but nowadays the buying of a complete fashion line is frantic. In fact, $511 million in worldwide sales. There are 3,400 specially licensed stores in 56 countries.
If you walked through a mall in the 1990s, you couldn't miss the rainbow rows of sweaters in every color. Bright yellow, deep green, bold blue, and vivid pink. United colors of Benetton stores were everywhere, over 7,000 across 120 countries. Their ads stood out with bold imagery and diverse models, sparking global attention and endless talk. At their height, the Benetton siblings, Luciano, Giuliana, Gilberto, and Carlo, ran one of the biggest fashion empires in the world, producing over 120 million garments each year from their base in Treviso, Italy. Reports estimated the family's wealth in the billions, with their brand symbolizing bold creativity and global unity.
Io penso che sia nel nostro lavoro abbiamo immaginato sempre come essere in un viaggio, cercare di vedere le cose belle, di fare le cose utili. Nel caso specifico abbiamo cercato di avere un prodotto che facesse felice la gente, che servisse a noi come business. È una roba molto semplice, diciamo, poche idee, ma abbiamo perseverato, cioè abbiamo cercato di portarle fino.
They even branched out beyond fashion, owning a Formula One racing team that won major championships and managing key infrastructure and restaurant ventures across Italy. But as decades passed, the once unstoppable fashion house faced serious challenges: store closures, declining profits, and a reputation struggling to keep up with modern trends. The rise of the Benetton empire is often seen as a story of ambition, strategy, and family unity tested by success. Through their holding company, Edizioni S.p.A., the four Benetton siblings, Luciano, Giuliana, Gilberto, and Carlo, each held an equal 25% stake, keeping full ownership of their global ventures. Luciano was known as the marketing visionary, Giuliana led the designs, Gilberto managed the finances and investments, and Carlo oversaw production and operations.
Ho pensato di avere delle caratteristiche, cioè di portare avanti delle caratteristiche che fossero non locali. Cioè, inizialmente abbiamo incominciato in Italia, questo è ovvio, ma abbiamo sempre mirato all'estero, cioè abbiamo mirato al gusto francese, al pubblico di Parigi, e diciamo è stata una conseguenza logica quella di pensare poi agli Stati Uniti.
Their influence stretched far beyond fashion, turning the family into major players in global business. They built a vast portfolio, owning a Formula One racing team that achieved major wins with Michael Schumacher in the 1990s, holding stakes in major highway operations across Italy, and running one of the world's largest roadside restaurant networks. Their logistics hub in Treviso processed thousands of shipments daily, reaching over 5,000 stores worldwide. By 2024, reports said the family's combined ventures brought in billions in revenue, though the original sweater business faced tougher times than ever. The Benetton family's story began in the tough years after World War II, when the siblings faced major challenges but refused to give up. Luciano, the eldest, left school early to help support his family, taking small jobs in shops and selling newspapers to keep things going. Despite the struggle, he stayed positive and determined to build something bigger. By the early 1960s, Giuliana had become skilled at knitting and created a bright yellow sweater for Luciano to wear to work. The color stood out so much that people immediately wanted to know where they could get one. That single sweater sparked the idea that would soon change their lives. With limited money, Luciano and Giuliana sold personal items to buy their first knitting machine and began making colorful sweaters from their home. Luciano handled sales, biking around to local shops, while Giuliana managed the designs. Their first small collection of 20 sweaters in bold shades of yellow, blue, and green sold out fast, and the Benetton name was born.
Imago Mundi è un progetto mondiale
di piccole opere, 10 cm x 12, che vengono raccolte in tutti i paesi del mondo. Naturalmente parlando degli Inuit parliamo di zone molto, molto particolari dove c'è difficoltà per questioni di temperatura, di raccogliere, di avere contatti con gli artisti. Comunque grazie.
The Benetton siblings started small, selling about 20 sweaters a week. But growth came fast. Within months, they had paid off their first loan and were expanding as Carlo and Alberto joined in, adding new energy and ideas. Their bright colors and soft fabrics stood out in a market filled with gray and beige tones, giving their brand a fresh and modern appeal across Italy. In 1965, they officially formed their company, Benetton Knitwear Factory, and opened their first store the following year in Belluno. The concept was groundbreaking. Customers could browse freely without sales pressure, a style that felt revolutionary at the time. Soon, another shop opened in the ski resort town of Cortina, designed with open, modern architecture that highlighted the vibrant colors of the clothes. By the early 1970s, Benetton stores were popping up across the world, from Paris and New York to Tokyo and beyond. What really set them apart was innovation. Luciano experimented with new dyeing techniques, flipping traditional methods to create brighter, more durable colors that defined the Benetton look. Luciano Benetton spent months testing new ways to dye wool, determined to perfect a new method. After many trials, he developed a process called tinto in capo, dyeing the garment after it was made. This gave Benetton a major edge. The company could mass-produce plain sweaters, then dye them in whatever colors were selling best, cutting waste and speeding up production. Benetton also transformed its business model through franchising, letting independent owners run stores without heavy upfront costs. By the early 2000s, there were thousands of Benetton locations worldwide, supported by a few major flagship stores in top cities. In the 1980s, photographer Oliviero Toscani joined as creative director, leading bold advertising that focused on diversity and unity across cultures. His campaigns moved beyond simple product ads, turning Benetton into one of the most talked-about brands of the decade. While some of Toscani's later work sparked controversy for its striking imagery, his approach made Benetton's marketing instantly recognizable worldwide, and forever changed how fashion brands used advertising. By the early 1990s, Benetton's advertising had become some of the most talked about in the world, often bold, emotional, and deeply debated.
Al presidente delle associazioni delle comunità Inuit abbiamo avuto questo grande appoggio e privilegio di avere una collezione che sarà un gioiello per la nostra grande collezione di Imago Mundi mondiale.
One campaign featured powerful real-life images meant to raise awareness about major social issues, drawing both praise and criticism across different countries. Photographer Oliviero Toscani described his goal as using advertising to spark reflection rather than simply sell clothes. Some organizations and retailers, however, felt the approach went too far, leading to public backlash and even store partnerships ending. By the late 1990s, Benetton continued to face controversy for its We on Death Row campaign, which featured portraits of inmates and was presented as a social statement on justice and humanity. Legal disputes followed, with officials and retailers questioning the project's intent and ethics. These high-profile moments shaped Benetton's reputation worldwide, transforming it from a clothing company into a brand known for pushing creative and moral boundaries in advertising, sparking global discussions that still echo today. In 2012, Luciano Benetton announced that the family would step back from daily management, leaving full responsibility to professional executives. His son, Alessandro Benetton, educated at Boston University and Harvard with experience at Goldman Sachs, was appointed chairman during a turning point for the company. That same year, Benetton was taken off the Milan Stock Exchange and became a private business again. Despite Alessandro's strong background, the brand was already facing serious challenges. After decades of success, sales had slowed, profits had dropped, and newer rivals were transforming the fashion industry with faster, tech-driven models. While Benetton still followed traditional seasonal production cycles, competitors like Zara, H&M, and later online platforms such as Shein introduced fresh designs in just weeks, sometimes even days. This rapid turnaround left Benetton struggling to keep pace. By 2024, the company began modernizing its operations, finally launching a stronger online store and digital division. But catching up in a world built on speed and constant innovation proved to be one of its biggest challenges yet. In 2013, the global fashion industry faced intense scrutiny after the Rana Plaza factory disaster in Bangladesh, which raised worldwide concerns about worker safety and corporate responsibility. Reports later linked Benetton to a small portion of production at the site through subcontractors, though the company stated that the partnership had ended weeks before the tragedy and represented a very limited share of output. 5 years later, in 2018, another major controversy surrounded the Benetton family's infrastructure holdings, when a bridge operated by a company partly owned through their investment group collapsed in Genoa, Italy. The incident sparked national debate over infrastructure safety and maintenance standards, leading to ongoing investigations and reforms. These events deeply affected the family's reputation, shifting public perception from their colorful fashion empire to broader questions about corporate accountability and oversight. Both moments became defining chapters in Benetton's modern history, showing how global business decisions can carry unexpected and far-reaching consequences. During later investigations into the Genoa bridge collapse, reports revealed that safety concerns had been raised years before, intensifying public outrage and political pressure. Following the tragedy, Benetton's infrastructure division faced significant financial and reputational fallout, with the family eventually selling its stake in the highway operator in 2020. The following years brought personal losses for the Benetton family, with 2 of the original siblings passing away in 2018. Around the same time, the brand once again made headlines after longtime creative partner Oliviero Toscani made controversial public remarks that were widely condemned. Benetton quickly ended its collaboration with him and issued statements distancing the company from his comments. By 2024, at age 89, Luciano Benetton reflected on the family's journey in an interview with an Italian newspaper, acknowledging years of challenges, leadership shifts, and the dramatic evolution of the brand. His words marked the closing of one of fashion's most remarkable family legacies, built on color, controversy, and the constant reinvention of identity. In 2024, Luciano Benetton announced he was stepping down as chairman, expressing frustration with how the company had been managed in recent years. He stated that financial issues had emerged under previous leadership, with reports showing major losses and hundreds of store closures across the globe. By 2025, Benetton's retail network had shrunk dramatically from its peak of 7,000 stores to around 2,500, while the workforce was also reduced as part of a large-scale restructuring effort. The company's new CEO, Claudio Forza, described the turnaround plan as the brand's last chance to regain stability and urged everyone involved to work together toward recovery. Despite the struggles of its fashion division, the Benetton family's broader investments in infrastructure and other sectors continued to perform strongly, helping sustain their overall wealth. With Luciano and Giuliana, the 2 surviving founders, now in their 90s, the story of Benetton remains one of dramatic highs and lows, resilience, and enduring legacy. By mid-2026, Benetton was deep in its rebuilding phase. The company focused on smaller, more curated collections, produced closer to home to ensure quality and transparency. The new management emphasized sustainable materials, fair production practices, and digital growth, finally catching up to the online era that once left them behind. Younger designers were brought in to modernize the brand's identity, blending the vibrant colors of the past with a sleeker, more minimalist style aimed at a global audience. The headquarters in Treviso became a hub of experimentation again, with talk of reviving Benetton's signature knitwear through limited edition drops and collaborations with contemporary artists. Reports suggested that the company hoped to reconnect with Gen Z shoppers by leaning into its heritage of bold creativity, without the shock value that once defined its campaigns. For the first time in years, there was a cautious sense of optimism around the brand, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the Benetton name could rise again. The new Genoa St. George Bridge opened on August 3, 2020, an architectural triumph by Renzo Piano. Stretching over a kilometer long, it features advanced technology with hundreds of sensors and inspection robots designed to monitor the structure around the clock, symbolizing innovation and renewal for the city. The Benetton family name no longer appears on the project, marking a quiet end to a long and complicated chapter. Decades earlier, 4 siblings had sold an accordion and a bicycle to buy their first knitting machine, an act of determination that would one day shape a global fashion empire. Their colorful sweaters once defined an era and dressed the world in bold confidence. Today, their descendants oversee a vast holding company worth billions. Yet the meaning of Benetton has evolved. The question remains, did their shift toward business and infrastructure secure their legacy or change it forever? Subscribe to the channel for more stories about the rise, fall, and reinvention of iconic empires.